I grew up in Arizona, and the desert, dry kind of landscape. I definitely think that the texture and the dryness of that has kind of like infiltrated my aesthetic. So not that it's all looks like sand, but that kind of cracked earth, like kind of I always think of the Salton Sea. Has anyone seen that? As an example of like what I consider beautiful. So a lot of these surfaces are influenced by, I think, that part. As far as artistic influences, I work primarily in ceramics, as you can see. So I have my ceramic heroes. Definitely Nuala O'Donovan, very delicate, fragile, porcelain with lots of line work and repeated imagery, very oceanic kind of work. Another person who I love is Ron Nagel. He's just had some really big shows lately. His use of color and also odd shapes and kind of combinations of things, you know, and the scale is so intimate that it's kind of amazing the way that he works. And then also, I work a lot in organic surfaces. So Ernst Haeckel is a big influence, and it almost becomes, you know, if somebody's working in organic, they've like looked at Haeckel, I think. It's like if you're researching, you might end up with there. And I had a body of work based on diatoms, so that kind of relates to that. But those drawings of nature and the symmetry, but not quite symmetry, is definitely, you know, interesting to me, the way the colors are laid out and combined. An influence definitely was going scuba diving for me, or not scuba diving, but snorkeling. So you can see my aesthetic is very much like from the ocean. These look like corals. You see that kind of texture in all of my work. And I try to get rid of it, and I can't get rid of it. It's like it's a part of who my artist person is. The ocean and that crackling sound, I want everything to kind of feel alive like that. Has anybody heard that sound in the water where it's like the coral is alive and it's freaky and it's cool, and it's like, that's what I want all of it to feel like. It's like crackling and alive and pulsing. So successful in some cases, yes, some cases no, but that's kind of what I'm going for in a lot of them. I've been kind of looking around on the internet, just looking at maps and different line qualities and things. And, you know, when you're an artist, you're kind of looking for formats to work in. And I had been working with the diatoms, and I was kind of like, well, this has been done. A lot of people have worked this way. So I was looking for a new vocabulary, and I came across this work, Ben Hennig's PhD work. And so he was taking the data, putting it into a map format, and then altering the maps. So they're puffy where more people live, and you know, sometimes they're real skinny where no one's living. The unusualness of the shapes definitely drew me in. And I thought, well, they look like fish, they look like birds, they look like all sorts of different things. And he had a poster with them all on, and it looked like, you know, a natural science thing. It didn't look like a map. When I work on this body of work, I was working kind of in 3s and 4s. So if you look around, you can see like there's a body of work over here with the line work on it. Gold, some of these like lines drawn over it. So that was kind of an almost literal interpretation of the maps, and I was trying to get that line quality into the 3D. And it's that translation from 2D to 3D that's very exciting to me. I want them to come out into the room, and I want them to be a part of the world in their own way. I pick the map, and then I usually will enlarge it to the scale that I'm doing. So I print them out, and then I lay them on the floor, and I start to build around the shapes. I want the shapes to be very specific, to match up to the map, to give it some sort of framework. That's, you know, my framework. And then I just start building over the framework. And, you know, they're hollow from the backside. So they'd be very heavy if they weren't, right? And then once I get the shapes, then I look at it and see if I'm happy with it. If I'm not, then I just like take it all down and do it again until I kind of get a format. And these larger ones I build on the floor, so there's a whole different thing going on there where you're like standing like this. So I have, in my studio, I have an upper level, so I can like peer over and like look down on it. So that's really helpful because it's really hard to get a perspective. The next one I'm going to do is like twice the size of this, so I'm like, oh my God, how am I even going to see it, right? So I have to figure that out, a way to... So paint on a layer of slip, and I developed the slip so it doesn't fit. So all of these cracks just happen organically. So, and it's a porcelain that's very white, and I'm using a sculpture body below it. So the sculpture body allows me to do crazy things, and the slip allows me to have like bright colors and surfaces that are rich. And then I start building on it that way. A lot of this is texture on top of texture that's applied. So that is kind of the process. And then many, many, many firings.